Hare Krishna. Welcome to our evening katha. We hope all of you are safe and sound and increasing your bhajan and reading and chanting. And we're here to serve you and all the Vaishnavas by chanting the glories of Lord Krishna. Today we're going to continue in Kamyavan, and one of the places, this is our favorite part, the outside Prikrama of Kamyavan. And one of the places we'll go is Bhojan Stali. So therefore, this afternoon we'll sing Bhog Artik of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Maybe not all of it, it's a pretty long song. We want to get time for katha, but we'll sing that song tonight. Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Sri Gora Hari, Bhakata Vatsala Sri Gora Hari, Sri Gora Hari Sohi Gosta Bihari, Sri Gora Hari Sohi Gosta Bihari, Ananda Jasomati Chita Hari, Nanda Jasomati Chita Hari. Belo holo damodara aisa ekano, belo holo damodara aisa ekana, Bhoga mandire baisi koro ho bhojana, Bhoga mandire baisi koro ho bhojana, Nandirani deshi baisi giri baradari, Nandirani deshi baisi giri baradari, Baladeva sahasaka baisi sari sari, Baladeva sahasaka baisi sari sari, Sukta sakari baji nalita kusmanda, Sukta sakari baji nalita kusmanda, Dali dalna dugda tumi dari mocha kanda, Dali dalna dugda tumi dari mocha kanda, Mugda bora masa bora rotika gritana, Mugda bora masa bora rotika gritana, Saskuli pistaka kira puli payasana, Saskuli pistaka kira puli payasana, Karpura amrita keli ramba kira sara, Karpura amrita keli ramba kira sara, Amrita rasala amla dvadasha prakara, Amrita rasala amla dvasata prakara, Luchi chini sarpuri ladu rasabali, Luchi chini sarpuri ladu rasabali, Bhojana korena Krishna hoye kutahali, Bhojana korena Krishna hoye kutahali, Radhikara pakana bibida byanjana, Radhikara pakana bibida byanjana, Parama anande Krishna korena bhajana, Parama anande Krishna korena bhajana, Chale bale ladu khai Sri Madhu Mangala, Bale ladu khai Sri Madhu Mangala, Bagala bajai aur deya hari bolo, Bagala bajai aur deya hari bolo, Radhikari saka gane here nayane rakhone, Radhikari gane here nayane rakhone, Tripta hoi kai Krishna Rasoda Bhavani, Tripta hoi kai Krishna Yasoda Bhavani, Bhojanante piya Krishna Subhasita Bhari, Bhojanante piya Krishna Subhasita Bhari, Sabamukha prakalaya hoye sari sari, Sabamukha prakalaya hoye sari sari, Hastamukha prakaliya jata sakagani, Hastamukha prakaliya jata sakagani, Anande visrama kori baladeva sani, Ananda visrama kori baladeva sani, Jambula rasala ane rambula masala, Jambula rasala ane tambula masala, Tahake Krishna Chandra Suke Nidra Gela, Tahike Krishna Chandra Sukha Nidra Gel Bisalaka Sikhi Pucha Chamaradulaya Bisalaka Sikhi Pucha Chamaradulaya Apurva Shayaya Krishna Sukhe Nidra Jaya Apurva Shayaya Krishna Sukha Nidra Jaya Yasomate Agyape Danishta Anita Prasumati Agyape Danishta Anito Sri Krishna Prasade Radha Bunje Hoye Prito Sri Krishna Prasade Radha Bunje Hoye Prito Lalitadi Sakagane Avashesha Paya Lalitadi Sakagane Avashesha Paya Mane Mane Sukha Radha Krishna Guna Gaya Mane Mane Sukhe Radha Krishna Guna Gaya Hari Leela Ekmatra Jahara Pramora Hari Leela Ekmatra Jahara Pramora Bhogarati Gai Thakur Bhakati Vino Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Shri Gora Hari Bhakata Vatsala Shri Gora Hari Shri Gora Hari Sohi Gosta Bihari Shri Gora Hari Sohi Gosta Bihari Nanda Yaso Matir Chita Hari Nanda Yaso Matir Chita Hari Bhogarti Ki Jai. So again, we'd like to welcome you all to our evening katha. We hope you're all safe. By your good prayers, our temple president of Rasbihari Temple in Juhu, Brajabhari, is doing very nicely. He should be out of the hospital very soon, so keep your prayers going. And so we're going to the outside Prikam of Kamyavan. Some of our favorite places are there. So come along with us. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Nama Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swaparandikam Adadanastrirandantai Ridam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padam Bhujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So you notice today we're inside. Yesterday also it's only 38, 39 degrees outside, 103 or 102 for the Fahrenheit was. So we're inside maybe for the rest of the series. So yesterday we came back to Bimal Kund and heard many stories, Mahabharata stories connected with Bimal Kund. So Braj is also included in Mahabharata. Now across the fields away from Bimal Kund, we come to Yasoda Kund. Because sometimes, since they were cowherds, they used to move around to graze their cows in newer pastures. So sometimes Nanda Maharaj used to stay here in Kamyavan. We just saw the Churasi Kamba palace built by our engineer of the demigods, Visvakarma. So Yasoda had her kund here where she used to watch Krishna herding the cows and wash her clothes and do other types of things. Very beautiful, peaceful place surrounded by trees, Yasoda Kund. From there we come to a huge field that looks like it must be a dried up lake. And we see a line of rocks running through that field. Actually, there used to be a huge lake here. And from the other side of the lake, Radharani and all the gopis would come with all their pots of butter, milk and yogurt they collected from the nearby villages. Now they have to go all the way around this big lake. So they told Krishna, you're always telling everyone that before you were Lord Ram, you were Lord Braha, you were Lord Nrsingadev, you were always telling. So if you're actually Lord Ram, here in this field there's so many rocks, and we look around, we see so many rocks are still here in this field. And there's so many monkeys. We told you all about the monkeys yesterday. So if you were actually Lord Ram, get these monkeys to build a bridge for us so we don't have to go around the lake. So Krishna played on his flute, and all the monkeys came and stood there with folded hands and bending over. Do we ever see monkeys like that? No, they're completely mischievous and rascals. Yesterday they stole Arjun's glasses. Luckily he got them back safely. So they're always very mischievous. But they all stood with folded hands and bent over in front of Krishna. And Krishna played his flute, and all the monkeys began to build a big bridge. And in no time at all, they completed a bridge completely across this big lake. So we still see that bridge is there. Of course, it's not floating, but it's a bridge across the lake. And the gopis, and Radharani and all the gopis, they jumped on the bridge, and they looked at Krishna. We still don't believe you were Lord Ram in a previous incarnation, but because you're more mischievous than these monkeys, you're the head of all these monkeys, therefore they do what you say. And they all laughed and ran across the bridge. So at one end of the bridge we find there's a beautiful little Shiva temple. This is Rameshwaram. At the other end of the bridge we find the Ashok Vatika. We remember the Ashok Vatika in Lanka where Sita was waiting for Lord Ram to come in, rescue her. So here in Kamyavan we also have a very beautiful grove. No Ashok trees are there, but they call it Ashok Vatika. Now we go across the fields for quite some time, and we come to a very beautiful kund called Surbi Kund. Because all around here in the hills, Krishna was herding his cows, and he would bring them here for drinking water. So this place became known as Surbi Kund. In fact, seeing all the cows drinking the clear, cool water from the kund, the Krishna would go down and putting his hands on the ground like a cow without using his hands to drink. He would drink water from the kund, just like a cow. And on Surbi Kund, it's a very beautiful place. There's 12 ghats. Each ghat is named after one of the 12 months of the Vedic year. There's a Damodar Ghat, there's a Keshava Ghat, Trivikram Ghat, and Govinda Ghat. The 12 months have all their ghats all around this place. And there's a tiny little Sitaram temple and a tiny little Radha Krishna temple. And we find here the Bhajan Kutir of Srila Prabodhanand Saraswati. We remember Prabodhanand Saraswati, he was from Srirangam. He was the uncle of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who we described the other day. And by the influence of Sriman Mahaprabhu, he elevated himself from the worship of Lakshmi Narayan to the worship of Radha and Krishna. And he has his Bhajan Kutir here in Vrindavan, just behind Kaliyagat, very secret, sweet place. And he has written so much beautiful, therefore he became, they gave him the title Saraswati because he was so beautiful poems. In fact, we have a couple of his poems with us today, a couple of lines from his Vrindavan Mahimamrita. Vrindavan Satika is there and Vrindavan Mahimamrita, two of his most famous works. He says, "O friend, by great good fortune, you have attained this body where you have heard Vrindavan's wonderful glories and learned that everything in this world is like a dream. Don't put any faith in the mind and body. Run to Vrindavan," of course after lockdown. "Oh brother, when you close your eyes in death, where will your loving wife, children, brothers, relatives and friends be? Where will your good qualities be? Where will your fame be? Where will your pride, wealth, education, control over others, and other powers and opulences be? O friend, O learned and intelligent friend, why do you not renounce these temporary things and run to Vrindavan?" So like that, he's written so many beautiful prayers all about Vrindavan. So then going across the fields, we go toward a hill. And just on the side of that hill, we find Fisalini Shila. This is one of the reasons this is a favorite place on our Prikrama. Because at Fisalini Shila, Fisalini means to slide. So here on this hill, Krishna and Balaram and all the cowherd boys used to slide. And still that slide is there. Big, long rock there's a little bit of groove where you can sit in and slide down to the bottom. So every year we have hundreds of devotees on Braj Prikrama, and they come here and everybody's sliding down. It's so fun watching them come down. Here comes South African Airways, here comes Indigo, here comes American Airlines, here comes Vyasa, the airline in Venezuela is Vyasa. Vyasa's coming down, and Berlin Airways, Swedish Airlines, what's Swedish? I can't remember Swedish Airlines. Norway, Norwegian Airlines, like this everybody. In fact, many years ago, I've been on Braj Prikrama for many, many years, the walking one. But I went one time and everybody was going except Lokanath Maharaj. But I forced him to go, so now every year Lokanath Swami also slides down this slide. This is it's not much to talk about here. This is a doing place, and all the devotees have a big fun climbing up. It's very difficult to climb up. And we found out the best thing, because this time of year, Braj Mandal Prikrama time of year is quite cool. You take your woolen chadar and you don't dare stand up on it. You stand up, you put your feet in front of it. If you stand on it, zoom, you'll bash your butt on the stone. So you put your feet off the chadar, and you sit down peacefully, then lift your feet up under the chadar, and you just fly down the slide. So everyone is having a good time. Then there's a canal that's usually completely dry. So the shortcut to the next place is through the canal, but unfortunately we don't usually take that shortcut, because places like this, canals and things like that, happens to be the local latrine. So we just took breakfast, so we don't want to go walking through this place. So we go out to the main road, we go around a little village called Kalavata, and we find our way out to the main road, and we come to the other side of the hill. We cross over the canal again, and in the old days there was no steps. You just used to have to climb over all the rocks to get to Vyoma Sura Gufa. Gufa, we heard before, means cave. But recently somebody has paved some steps up the way, but since it's all over the rocks, sometimes there's a Kali Yuga step, sometimes there's a Dwapar Yuga step, sometimes there's many Treta Yuga steps, and a few giant Sati Yuga steps. It's quite a trip to get up to the top. Even the old people get up there. But what happened was Krishna was playing with his friends near Govardhan Hill. And little boys, they like to play cops and robbers. So they divided all up into three groups. Some of the cowherd boys were sheep, some were sheep herds, or I guess shepherds we should say, and others were police, and others were thieves. So the shepherds tried to protect the sheep, the thieves tried to steal the sheep, and the cops tried to catch them. So they were playing this game. And Madhumangal, he was the judge. Whenever the cops would catch a thief, they would bring him to Madhumangal. Madhumangal would whisper to him, "Just give me a few laddus and I'll let you go." And this way they had a good old time. So that particular day, this Vyomasura, Kamsa, this is one of the last demons that Kamsa sent to Braj. Just in the morning time, Krishna had killed Keshi. In the afternoon, they were playing at Govardhan Hill, and this Vyomasura took the form of a cowherd boy. Vyom means sky, because he was able to fly in the sky. Just like we know sometimes the spiritual sky is called Param Vyom. Just like we have a very dear godbrother in Brazil named Parambyom, who lives in the Parambyom. He was taking part of the thief, and he was catching the sheep, the boys playing sheep, and he would fly through the sky to this hill, and there was a big cave, and he put them inside the cave, and he rolled a big stone in front. Then he would go back and steal another boy. Then he'd go back, he began to steal cops, he began to steal shepherds, he began to steal everyone. So finally Krishna winked at Balaram because they understood something's going on. The population is going down of cowherd boys. So then Balaram and Krishna, they also leapt through the air. And they came here to this Bhyomasura cave. And Krishna, just like a lion capturing a lamb, he grabbed that Bhyomasura by his neck. And Bhyomasura, since he manifested his original form as a gigantic, huge demon the size of a mountain. And they went up in the air, and they came back down. The whole earth was shaking. And then they would go up in the air, and Krishna's mukut fell off, his flower garland broke and fell off, his Kastumba money necklace fell off. Finally, he brought that demon down, smashed him onto the ground, and strangled him, and he sent him to the abode of death. So the reason why we're climbing up all these stairs is right toward the top of the hill we see the cave, and we all go inside. It doesn't look so big, it must have shrunk because of Kali Yuga. But Krishna came there and he rolled back the rock. He got all the cowherd boys out who were suffering like anything. Seeing Krishna, all their anxiety being locked in this cave was gone. They all were very, very happy. So we climb all the way to the top of this cave because Krishna was carrying that demon up into the sky. He was holding him with his right hand. When he fell on the top of this hill, you can see his left hand footprint and his left footprint. Or there on top of the hill where he came crashing down. He was holding the demon by his right hand. So his left. And then all of a sudden somebody will yell, "Hey, look over here, Krishna's marigold mala print is here." And we all run over there. On another part of the hill, you can see, it just looks like a marigold mala, the print there where Krishna. Then we look over the edge and we see a stone with a big red outline on it. That's where Krishna's mukut fell. Then very carefully, because on the other side there's no steps, we crawl over the rocks, and then we come to a nice place and we go down, and there's a little shrine on the side of the hill, and there's a stone there that has little diamond-shaped marks. It's a regular rock, but there's these diamond-shaped marks, and you rub them you rub on the stone itself. It's very rough. Rocks are very rough, but you rub on those stones, and somehow or other it's just like somebody has put butter. It's very chickeny, very slick. Wherever those diamond-shaped marks are, it's very slick. They say this is where Krishna's Kaustubha money necklace fell. So anyway, after this whole time, all the cowherd boys, they were very hungry. So Krishna said there's a place across the way where there's nice kund and nice trees, a nice place to sit, so we'll go there. So we go back to the road. Down the road a little ways, there's a little shrine, because we told how Krishna was taking this demon up there and crashing him down to the earth. So the whole earth was shaking. So here Balaram, he put his foot down on the earth to keep it steady. We know as in form of Anantashesh, he's carrying all the universes on his head. So here he put his foot down to steady the whole earth. So we find a little cave, shrine rather, not a cave. And there you can very clearly see Balaram's right footprint, where he was steadying the earth from shaking so much. And there's a couple little Brijvasi houses there on the road that we take. So we beg some nice Brijvasi rotis, because they don't make them with this machine like that, like this. And especially this is a very outlying village, nice and thick with homemade ghee on top. So we get some nice Brijvasi rotis. And then there's a canal there that usually has water in it, so we go across a little bridge and we go along the road watching out for thorns, because on both sides of the road is growing thorn bushes. Then the little path goes down from, it's beside the canal, it's high, there's a road, and then we go down the embankment of the road, we come through the fields, we come to a beautiful place, and there's a small hill there. This hill is called Indrasena Parvat. It has a very interesting history. There's two ladies who stay there all the time. They come from the village every day and stay there. One is named Urmila, and one is named is Maya, or third one is named Krishnavati. And Urmila tells us a story, I don't know where it's from, that there was one princess named Krishnavati, who was also the name of her friend. And she was married to a wonderful prince. But shortly after marriage, her husband died, left her with no children. She began to perform penance and austerities for 10,000 years. Into those 10,000 years, Krishna asked her what she wanted. And she could have asked to bring her husband back to life so she could have children and a big house. She could have asked for anything. And she told that I want to become a hill in Braj, and that one day you will come and sit on my hill and eat, and your juta, your chewed remnants will come on me, and then I'll be purified by light. So this is called Indrasena Parvat. So sure enough, Krishna came there with all the cowherd boys, but there was no plates and bowls for eating. So suddenly the stones manifested bowls and plates, and two bowls and two plates are still there manifest in the stones. And you can see very clearly, and a beautiful lake is there. So you should never come to Bhojan Thali without bringing something to offer. In the old days, when I went on Braj Prikrama, there was one Bengali group from a place near Sanatana Goswami's Madan Mohan temple called Hari Bol Kutir. So sometimes they were with us, sometimes they were ahead of us, sometimes they were behind us. But in Kamyavan, they're exactly with us. And since they're a small group, they would get there first. And they would put their little giraj on a rock there overlooking the bowls, and they would fill these bowls and thalis. That's another reason this place is called Bhojan Thali. That's Bhojan Stali or Bhojan Thali. And they would have the most opulent sweets and offering you couldn't imagine. They just make piles and piles. And then they had huge thick book like this of Narottam Das's bhajans. And just like we just sang Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bogartik, they have a Bogartik of Narottam Das Thakur. And Narottam Das Thakur explains in his song, he's talking that one time Balaram was walking around and the sun was very hot, it was noontime. And he saw a beautiful kund, just like we're sitting by a beautiful kund called Shir Sagar. We'll tell why in a minute. So Balaram, he went into the kund and he looked down and he saw another white boy in the kund. And he became shocked. And he began to stutter. And they sing the song just like this. Ki 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 tu 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 po 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 ra chai. Ki 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 tu 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 po 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 ra chai ki tu po ra chai. What is your introduction? Who are you? Balaram was asking this. He kept, and he's so shocked. He's stuttering. Ki 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 tu 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 po 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 ra chai. Then Krishna came along, and he saw Balaram standing in the kund talking to himself. The sun must be too hot. So Krishna made clouds come. So when clouds came, then the boy in the kund disappeared. And Krishna said, "Hey, Dauji, come on, it's time to eat. Come here, let's all eat together." So then the song goes on, Luchi, Chini, Sarpuri, Laddu, just like Bhaktivinoda's song. So they would sing this beautiful song and have this beautiful... Then this big international, that time was practically all were foreigners. In the old days, was practically all foreigners. This big international prikrama would come. And what did we offer? Kitri and bananas. And because I could understand Hindi, I could understand what the ladies are saying. They're saying, look, these Bengalis come. Bengali means Kangali, destitute. And they make such a nice offering, and this big international group comes, the khichdi and bananas. So I force the Lokanath Maharaj that you have to bring a nice offering. So now, if you read Lokanath Swami's book, Brajmandal Darshan, you can hear the wonderful offering that they make. They put their little giriraj there and make their wonderful offering with laddus and puris and so many wonderful things. So you should never go to Bhojan Thali empty-handed. And so this is, in fact, in the fields just near Bhojan Thali, that's where we all take our prasadam. So, and Urmila Sharma, one of the ladies there, she's from, she's an All India Radio artist, AIR artist. And somehow, every time I bring the devotees there, practically all foreigners, but she sings the most beautiful Brishbasa songs, and one of the favorite songs she sings. And she's so enthusiastic and so charismatic that even these foreigners, they don't know what they're singing. She gets them to sing with them. She sings this beautiful song. Nico Nico lage Brindavan, mujhe bari Nico lage, Nico Nico lage Brindavan, mujhe bari Nico lage. Nico is a Brishbasa word. The only way I could translate it, it's neat. Vrindavan's neat, it's really neat to me, it's really neat, Vrindavan. Nico Nico lage Vrindavan, mui bade Nico lage. Nico Nico lage Vrindavan, mujhe bade Nico lage. Vrindavan me gar gar tulsi, Vrindavan me gar gar tulsi, or darshan hai Bihari ji ko, और दर्शन है बिहारी जी को. निको निको लगे वृंदावन, मुझे बड़े निको लगे. निको निको लगे वृंदावन, मुझे बड़े निको लगे. वृंदावन में दूध दही भोजन, वृंदावन में दूध दही भोजन, भोजन और दर्शन है इन भक्तों के, or darshan hai in bhakton ke. Nico Nico lage, and all the devotees are singing Nico Nico lage Vrindavan, mujhe bade Nico lage. Vrindavan's really neat. To me, it's really, really neat. So, after Bhojan Thali, that usually ends our prikrama, but since we have a little bit of time, we'll go to we'll take there's a road the next day after this outside prikrama of Kamyavan, then we head towards Barsana. And from Bimalkund there's a little road that comes to a village called Kanwara. So one thing they tell is called Kanwara because Kan means ear. So they say this is where Krishna had his Kan Chedan, his ear and nose pierced. The Mother Yasodi brought him especially to this village to have his, because even Lokanath Swami shows off his little holes in his ears where when he was a little child he was also pierced ears. And he has everyone raise their hands who had their ears pierced. So this is where Krishna had his ears pierced. It's called Kanwara. Just like if you go to Chirchar Gopinath, the queen one time she took darshan, she was so enchanted. She wanted to make nose pin and earrings for the deity. But deity's made of stone. How is she going to put nose pin and earring on the deities? That night, the deity came and said, you see carefully, you tell the pujari to see carefully, my nose pin is there and my hole for my nose pin is there and my ear holes are there. So next morning she explained to the pujari her dream. Pujari looked very closely, he saw a little hole in Shirchar Gopinath's ear and a little hole for his nose pin, and so she had her desire fulfilled by Gopinath. Other reason this place is called Kanwara, because this was the ashram of Kanwa Rishi. What happened, we all know the story how Vishwamitra, he performed penances and austerities for 10,000 years. Indra got worried, so he sent Menaka. So from their union came a beautiful girl named Shakuntala. And since the demigods are not interested in child rearing and all this stuff, they just have fun. So she left the child in the forest where Kanva Rishi's ashram was. So Kanva Rishi, he took this girl home and he raised her, so she became very, very beautiful. So her whole ashram was shining with her beauty. Then there was one king, Dushmanta, and he was wandering in the forest hunting one day, and he came upon the ashram of Kanva Rishi. He entered the ashram, the Rishi was out somewhere, but he saw this beautiful, lovely girl there. Immediately the arrows of Cupid struck him. So he began to talk to her. Oh, beautiful one, why are you loitering here in the forest? Who are you and whose daughter are you? You appear to be a Kshatriya girl. You appear to be the daughter of a Kshatriya. And she explained that I never met my mother and father. And she explained the history. He said, but from the Rishi I've understood that it was Visramita and Menaka. He said, Visramita, he was a great king and he became a great sadhu. Then you're certainly very qualified, and I know all the rules of dharma. So our union is not unlawful at all. So she kept quiet. As Prabhupada said, silent means assent. So by chanting various mantras and by exchanging garlands, it's called Gandharva rituals. Just like there's Swayambara, this is a Gandharva ritual. And Dushmanta, he never discharged semen without it having any fruit. So he left her, promising to bring her to this kingdom sometime in the future. So naturally a son was born. I've forgotten his name. He later became Bharat. That's one of the reasons this earth is known as Bharat. But Sarvadaman. Because he grew to be a very powerful boy, such that even in his childhood, just like little boys play with cats and dogs and kittens and puppies, he would catch lions and tigers and play with them. He was so powerful. So then, now that the son was grown up, Kanva Rishi told that now you should go and present yourself before the king and have him accept you as his queen. So she went to the village, she went to to the city, big city, and she presented herself before Dushmanta, that I am your wife from the tryst we had in the forest of Kanwara. He said, I don't remember anything like that. Just see how men are. But she was so pious and so pure. Immediately a voice came from the sky and revealed the whole story. Then Kanwara accepted her as his wife. His son became Bharat, and it's one of the reasons why this place is known as Bharat Varsha. So this is the village of Kanwara. Beyond Kanwara we come to Kadam Kandi. Kanda means area, so this place is filled with very ancient Kadamba trees. In fact, there's a little kund there. I can't remember the name of the kund, but just on the corner of the kund, there's a Kadamba and a Tamal embracing each other together. And we told many times the Kadamba is representative of Srimati Radhika, because the flower is beautiful golden color, just like Srimati Radhika, and its fragrance is very dear to Krishna. And Tamal tree is very blackish and crooked like Lord Krishna. So Tamal represents, so just on the corner of the kund, it's a very small kund, but just on the corner there's old ancient Kadamba tree and Tamal tree and wrapped in each other's arms. And we're between two hills there. So you cannot see. If you go to the top of the hill, you can see Barsana. From one side, you can see Nandagam on the other side. So, but down here in the valley, nothing can be seen. They say here Radha and Krishna used to enjoy Ras Leela. And it's so amazing. When you leave Kanwara and come down the roads, it's all farm. Then all of a sudden you see pilu trees and dungar trees and banyan trees. very strange atmosphere, because everything else around there is farmland. Then suddenly these hills come, and pilu trees and dungar trees all curving down to, dragging their branches to the ground, and very mystical atmosphere appears. Then you come into the valley, and huge old ancient kanamba trees there, beautiful kund is there, and so peaceful place is there. It's so wonderful place. And there's enormous banyan trees there with so many trunks, no way you can ever imagine what was the original trunk. There's 2 of them on either sides of the valley there. It's just amazing, very peaceful place, and very wonderful place. So from there we come to we go along the side of the mountain, and we can hear from the side of the mountain, we can hear the sound of our kirtan echoing. We can see Barsana on our right side, way in the distance. And on the left side, we're right beside the mountain. We hear our kirtan echoing off the mountain. And we come to Sunera. Sunera means golden. You may remember from the Brahma Vimohan Leela that Lord Brahma fell down like a golden stick. So his complexion is golden. So he did penances and austerities here to be able to give Radharani's hand away to Krishna in marriage. One day we'll go to Bandirvan and hear that pastime. But this is the place. So this golden person was there. This village became known as Sunera. And we go through the village. We come on top of the hill. There's Sudevi temple. One of the Astasakis we know is Sudevi. And actually this place is the birth of Sudevi and Rangadevi. But Rangadevi is married in another place, just on the other side of the hill. There's no way to get there. You have to go all the way back to Barsana, and then there's a road from Barsana. But there's a beautiful temple of Sudevi here on top of the hill. And very special place. So this is one of the places of Sudevi. So I think we'll put our voice to rest here. And we'll see you again tomorrow. How many people are out there today?
Right now 78. 78.
78. So we apologize yesterday if there was some internet problem on our side, but I hope today there was no problem. We had nice clear transmission. We'll see you again tomorrow. Please be safe. Hare Krishna.